So yeah, today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the things that you should take into consideration really when looking at a mobile strategy or an optimization strategy for mobile and for mobile websites. 42% of all mobile users now operate a smartphone, so we are in excess of that here, I would suggest. 51% have browsed on the internet on their mobile in the last week, and 13% of all UK smartphone users have actually made a purchase via mobile as well. 34% of companies, this is additional companies, are looking to invest in mobile this year. So it's significant. This is people who don't already have a mobile offering and are getting in. So anyone who's got one at the moment would still be considered well out of the blocks and a good starter. But I would suggest that by the end of next year, or the end of this year, if you aren't doing something, then you'll probably be playing catch up. So there are some companies out there who are doing a really good job converting on tablets and putting good experiences out there, and they're seeing much higher conversion rates. And as an average, it's still above that of a traditional website. You've got some tablets being sent to the desktop site, but others, depending on operating system, depending on what's technically possible, being sent to the mobile site. And then depending on how that mobile site is built, whether it's just a standard list for handsets, sometimes that offering on a tablet can look, well, far less than a great user experience. When and where are visitors accessing your site? So that's about context of the visitor. Whereabouts are they in particular, and what time of the day roughly? What are they doing? Why are they on your site? So again, this comes back to, is it purchasing? Is it researching? Is it just trying to find you? Is it just trying to find your local stores? And what are they doing? So what are the current trends on the website? And then how are visitors accessing the site? And this is really directly related to technology. So what we're seeing is real convergence of technology, and we're seeing, rather than device separation, we're seeing the same interaction, or a series of steps in the same interaction happening across multiple devices. These devices are used in all sorts of different places now, rather than being sat behind a desk at a PC, to then being liberated by the laptop. It's now taken a quantum leap forward, and we're looking at being able to access things wherever you like. But ultimately, we need to make sure that there's an integrated experience. So there's no real change. There's no horrible shift in the way that the site looks and the site works and how it feels for visitors coming on across these different devices. So when we're building out a strategy, again, we're going to be thinking about a united user experience for the visitor. And a mode is really about the visitor's intention or their purpose for visiting your site at any point in time. Now, they're going to be vastly different depending on where they are and what they're doing. It could be, I mean, these are probably the most simple ones you can think of, really, are browsing, so we're just having a look around. Researching, I'm actually interested in buying something now, but that researching could be at home, it could be on the bus, it could be in one of your competitors' stores, it could be in your store checking the price of a competitor. And secondly, there's use cases. So how do you present each one of those modes on the various devices that are available? And do you present all of those possible modes on each device? Are they all necessary? You can imagine trying to fit all possible options onto the landing page for a mobile device, or the entry page for a mobile device. It's not an easy thing to do, and we need to think about prioritizing and dealing with these use cases. Social barriers are dropping. Mobiles are used everywhere. People will happily get their mobile out in a restaurant and look something up to settle an argument. And technology is improving, so it's much easier to do that, and it's much quicker. So this is just a quick example, actually, from Paddy Power, who have done a great job of appreciating the mode, the when and the where in this situation about people accessing their mobile site. This is their desktop site, so this is how you would normally come in, and it's heavily acquisition focused. They push you through a registration process, there's offers and deals. It's very much the way that their market works. And after that, you get to the home page, and you can see the home page. Very useful if you've got a mouse and if you've got a big screen. Not if you've got a mobile. So this is what they came up with. This is their design. So what they've really done is appreciated that in the hours outside of business, where people are not going to be necessarily sat in front of their computers, they've got these mobile devices and they've got these tablets, and they're going to want to bet. They're going to want to spend money. They're not really there to do research. It's this kind of, I'm in the pub, I'm watching a football game, I can pull my mobile out and put some money on it. It's set up for touch. It has the ability to customize the site and show your favorites, to store things in there on the homepage, so you've got basically a customizable homepage. And then all of the forms and everything are really well set up so that it's really straightforward and it's simple. So just quickly, some recommendations. When you're thinking about mode, consider how time of day, how time and day can influence a visitor's circumstance. So be that during the weekend, you might want to be presenting different content, you might want to create different content for evenings. And this can really lead into possible segmentation opportunities. So it might be a little bit down the line, we're talking about personalization on mobile now, but very much a real possibility. Mobile, for example, is going to be very different if you're researching a competitor's products when you're in a store compared to a tablet. You're very unlikely to have a tablet on you at that stage, or if you are, pull it out in the shop and start banging away. So that's another one for you. Finally, if you're looking at the optimization strategy, is to define modes by time of day. So this is really about thinking about a segmentation strategy and building that in. 48% of smartphone users access information on their handsets prior to following up on their PCs. So mobile is really about the start of the journey. It may be that with effective email advertising on the way home, I catch the bus on the way home and I open my email. There's something of interest, and so it sends me straight through to a landing page. And all I'm really going to do at that stage is see the offer, see the deal. Personally, I'm not going to be booking a holiday on my bus on the way home, but I may well go home and follow that up on the PC when I get there. So really it could be about getting them past the landing page, actually getting some engagement past bounce, really, could be a really effective measure for engagement. But the really tall column, the skyscraper there, is that they would prefer to use a PC or a laptop. So actually there's an element of maturity, there's an element of this is actually what people are using mobile sites for, research and the top end of the funnel, if you like, more than buying. So I thought it'd be useful to actually think about the buying process, get back to some basic marketing concepts and think about the visitor themselves and what they might be doing, and actually think about the maturity of your market and how your site has been used. So for each of these, you could set some pretty clear metrics. Needs awareness, the email is a pretty good example there. You've generated a need, and getting someone past a landing page might be a good indication of that. Information search, just getting people past search results and getting them into product pages and actually seeing detail is a good example here. Evaluating alternatives, particularly thinking about use case here. So mobile, we see a lot of people using their devices before making an offline purchase. Making sure that people are able to compare prices easily and perhaps even save these things as well. So having a mobile experience which is linked up with your desktop site so you can look at things you're interested in and then compare them when you get back, or just facilitating ease of comparison in store. Purchase, this is really going to be all about closing the deal. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Making sure that the checkout processes are nice and easy, that they work for mobile, that there's no glaring usability errors there. And post-purchase, this one's probably a little more important than you might first think. So, being able to get people to post reviews on your site and your service, it's something that only takes 5 minutes, but doesn't get a lot of time. Often it's hard to get people to actually spend that 5 minutes. But if you've got it on the bus and someone sent you an email saying, "Can you review us?" then perhaps this is a really good way for building awareness. Just a couple of quick examples. So they've done a really good job of being able to get a clear menu across. They've provided enough information to not confuse people or make it difficult at each stage, so it's a granular step-by-step process. But ultimately, they're facilitating an upsell as well. They're getting people in store, they're driving demand with mobile, and they're then able to engage salespeople with these guys, and they'll probably end up walking out with an extra lens and an extra bag for your camera and God knows what else. I've been there and done it. If you contrast that with their desktop site, trying to view that on a mobile and do some research is probably going to be a lot more difficult. So, good example of knowing the maturity of the market and knowing the complexities. Carphone Warehouse is another example. These guys are selling really well. So the site's only just gone live. It's only been up for a few weeks now, but it already accounts for 20% of their traffic, and it converts at roughly half the rate of their desktop site. For a brand new site, this is quite an achievement. So the people who are coming onto Carphone Warehouse via a mobile site are probably quite developed users. They know what they're doing and they're quite comfortable with this sort of technology. So they've been really able to push the boat out and create a site that really does drive purchase. They send all of their tablet traffic to here. And I sort of stopped and wondered about that and then had a look at it and think, actually, they've done a great job with this. When you view this on a tablet, it has still a very easy to use navigation. The items on the page are really big. They haven't over-cluttered anything. They've got a good navigation, good user experience all the way through. And it's simple to press. You know, they've thought about optimizing the site for a tablet as well as a PC. The majority of testing we do is around actually, have we got the user journeys right? Do we have the right content on the homepage and the landing page? Is the usability of the menu system right? These are fairly fundamental things when it comes to ordinary web design, but not so much for mobile. These are still fairly big questions. So take a top-down approach and get it right from the start, and then start to work through to the point of purchase. 61% of visitors expect websites to be as easy to navigate on smartphones as they are on their PC. That's quite demanding, especially when you think about the amount of content that you've got to handle. Found what I thought was a very interesting stat here. Google released data revealing that 41% of searches relating to Super Bowl ads that were on air during the game actually came from mobile devices. So thinking about the way that those landing pages are optimized, if they're not working well for mobile, then that is a lot of very expensive marketing money down the drain. As the screen width decreases, you start to see that this website, CSS Tricks, you'd expect them to be quite good at it, have actually kept a very usable navigation, something that works well for fingers, works well for mobile phones. As things decrease in size, it doesn't crunch up and get impossible to tap, impossible to use. They've recognized the importance of that, and you can see that as that decreases, you still end up with a very usable site. But for the future, how do we deal with this? So do we look at combining mobile and tablet? Do we go with the Paddy Power route and build something that works for both and works well? Responsive design again, is that the answer? Do we look at something which is dedicated for tablet? Is it going to be a big enough market? I'd suggest that it probably is, and by some of the average order values that we've seen and the increases in those are very lucrative. So, you know, responsive design may have its part to play there as well, or you could get down to ultimately a tablet designed site, a dedicated site. Or do we optimize the desktop for tablet? So again, looking at, do we actually go back to reconsidering how we build on our sites online? And then when we're looking at tests, do we look at each time we build content, how that affects tablet users? Again, just thinking about the value of these people, they are not going to be able to be ignored for very long. So finally, in summary to all of that, different devices needing different optimization streams, different customer modes needing different optimization strategies as well. So thinking about where people are, thinking about how they're using their device, thinking about the pieces of applications on your sites that are relevant to people, not necessarily purchase, but not necessarily just browsing. And actually considering how these modes have an effect on not just purchase, but actually on the wider engagement of visitors. And finally, definition and consistency is key. So this is the first thing that we've really got to lock down, is make sure that we've defined what mobile is for us as a business and how we're going to approach each of those modes and each of those use cases, and how we're going to set some metrics around recognizing success. It doesn't necessarily mean that a web session on a mobile site that doesn't convert, that doesn't sell something, hasn't been effective and hasn't achieved exactly what it should achieve. So making sure we've done our research. And finally, putting all those together and building them into an overarching strategy. So make sure that we've considered all of these things, that we have these multiple streams, and that we have thought about users, thought about devices when we're actually putting together our tests. And that is the end of it for me.